All right, this seems to be working. There we go. All right, just in case anyone jumped into the previous stream I tried to set up, sorry. I guess it's due to the fact that I've been using OBS through YouTube so much lately that there was sort of a camera conflict, so my webcam was actually not working and I could not get it to work. So I had to back out of that, and I decided to go straight through the old StreamYard, which I haven't used in a little while now. But we have new beer review. And this is something new from Spindrift. I do not know if they made it before or not. They may have, but this is my first time seeing it. Showed up in 4-packs here in the NSLCs. And this is their Seeker Espresso Stout. It's got a can with a bunch of like hiking gear on it. Pictures of hiking gear, like a flashlight, a lantern, magnifying, like just outdoorsman stuff, like a fucking boat oar and a fishing pole and a spade and a weird looking mandolin guitar thingy, Swiss Army knife, all kinds of shit. Who knows? And so this is an espresso stout at 6.9% alcohol by volume. And it says here, discover the wonders that abound in your own backyard. In the spirit of exploration, Seeker Espresso Stout isn't held back by the constraints of style. And this is a coffee stout and a flavored stout. I guess it sort of fits in that category. So this has espresso in it, coconut, cinnamon, and cocoa impart a wealth of complex flavors to this rich, dark offering. And down below, ingredients: water, malt, espresso, coconut, cocoa, hops, cinnamon, and yeast. All right. So we see what we think. It's not holding the head very well. It's already died down. I had to take a picture of it before I was trying to start the YouTube stream, so I had a good thumbnail. But yeah, so now it's set for like a minute or two, and the head's already died down. But it's kind of like what head there was kind of tan. It's pretty much just dark straight through. Can't really see much through it. There might be like some mahogany highlights there. That's about it. So let's go right to aroma. See, I always get nervous when somebody does like a coffee stout, and like especially when they're saying like this is our espresso stout, and then they add a bunch of other shit to it. Because if I'm going to drink an espresso stout and I'm an espresso lover, I want espresso, motherfucker. I don't necessarily want anything like killing espresso in the actual taste of the thing or the aroma, but this smells good. It's very one note. It's just a very it's very coffee heavy. Reminds me of like a so you got like the coffee roast, but I had a tea once that was like chocolate spice tea or something from South America or someplace like that. And like chocolate legit can be used as a spice, basically. It is basically a spice, depending on how you use it. Or at least, like the sort of cocoa nibs and shit like that. Cocoa beans, whatever. So I'm getting a bit of that. Like there's a bit of this coffee with like a bit of a spicy edge. And I'm assuming that's more like the cinnamon coming through. Does it smell like espresso? Not really. It smells more like regular coffee more than anything else. Good roast and everything, but doesn't smell like necessarily, super deep, wicked espresso that's going to fuck with you kind of thing. A little too sweet for espresso, quite frankly. It's almost like a rich, like French roast, Colombian, somewhere on that scale kind of thing. Your standard sort of coffee bean smell that you tend to get. So go right to the taste. Cheers. Mouthfeel is lower medium-ish. It's got it's got a very creamy sort of texture to it. It tastes like coffee with a good bit of like milk added to it, milk or cream, one or the other. Sweet up front, get some roast in the back. The roast lingers, little bit of bitterness. I would wish for more, honestly. I think when we get down to actually grading this, it's going to be more of my personal preference than anything else. That really sort of there's some sort of divergent score there. I like this, but oh man, calling this an espresso stout, they really kind of weaken. They kind of like really wussed out on the espresso, honestly. And I'm not surprised. I mean, espresso is kind of a niche coffee style for people. A lot of people just don't drink it. I mean, it's a little too much for some people. And I'm not shitting on anyone who doesn't like it, or can't take it, or whatever. But like, there's a reason Tim Hortons, for instance, we've got espresso now, but we only give you espresso shots or whatever. I'm sure they also could, like, customer comes in, give me a fucking large of espresso. I'm sure there's some people who do that, and they probably let it slide or whatever. But for the most part, it's like you get your little espresso shot, just a little pick me up with your regular coffee or whatever. But this is fucking. It's not espresso. Like the espresso is very deeply buried under a much more sort of like creamy, almost like lactic kind of thing. Like they don't put lactic in. I'm assuming that actually it's probably the coconut more than anything else that's sort of coming out on top of that. And the cinnamon, I don't get any of that. Like maybe a little bit in the aroma. That's probably the sort of spiciness I was getting, but not in the taste really at all. We have Craig from Kent Beer Reviews on here. Says, "Cheers, Brother Lee. Cheers to you, sir. I hope you're doing well tonight." Yeah, this is just kind of disappointing. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. This is perfectly good. It tastes good. Drinks good. 6.9%. You don't taste any of the alcohol. It's kind of dangerous that way, actually. Maybe I'm getting a teeny bit of spiciness in the background from the cinnamon, but it's so buried. So buried. The espresso's buried. The cinnamon's buried. Which is disappointing because, if anything, if you're not going to hit the espresso note all that well, at least ramp up the cinnamon and make this like a really good winter warmer kind of thing. And they don't really do that either. So, yeah. But what flavors are there are good. Good coffee flavors, but, it's like coffee with milk kind of thing. It's dumbed down coffee. That being said, as a coffee stout, as a flavored stout, perfectly great. Perfectly fucking great. I would give it a good 9 on that sort of scale. But as my personal preference going into this, I was so hoping that the espresso was going to be big in this. I was really, sort of crossing my fingers here, like maybe they'll fucking do it. And they didn't. It's just a really good coffee stout, nothing exceptional. And because of that personal preference, I'm going to throw a 7 at it. So not a super drop in score, but it's 2 points. from the style at the very least, and 3 points from the overall. So that's where we sit, man. The Spindrift Seeker Espresso Stout could have been so much more. Could have been so much more, but it's still pretty good. I mean, Spindrift makes good beers. I've not had a beer from them that's been bad. They don't always knock it out of the park or whatever the fuck, but they always make good, solid beers, and that says a lot about the quality of the brewery, honestly. You rarely run into a brewery that sort of, really is consistently really good, and sometimes they hit it out of the park with like a fucking mind-blowing beer or whatever. Usually you get a lot of substandard shit out of some breweries, and Craig says, talk soon. Cheers, brother. Have a good night. It's pretty late for him. He's over in England here, so it would be what? 1 a.m. for him. Actually, that's not late for him, but maybe it is now due to circumstances, and less said the better. Yeah, so a 9 for style, 7 for personal preference. The Seeker from Spindrift. A little disappointing, but that's just on my personal preference. You might love it. If you like a good coffee stout, this is good. It's as a coffee stout, it's fucking excellent. It's just not an espresso stout. Keep that in mind. If you pick this up and you're hoping, oh, I'm gonna get like that authentic espresso kind of feel, kind of flavor, like that really intense coffee with that really intense roast, and that's gonna, wake me up kind of thing. No, ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen, bro. Ain't gonna happen. But there we go. And I've got almost 12 minutes. 12 minutes on this. I don't know how I managed to do that. Sorry about that. But cheers to the people who watched, and cheers to people who watch later. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.